So we're here at Porthallow on the south coast of Cornwall, and we're diving today on the wreck of the Volnay, which was a First World War merchantman which struck a mine a few miles offshore laid by a German submarine, came in here, sank, fortunately with no loss of life. The Volnay has been dived a lot by many divers, but there's still areas of it that haven't been properly explored, and in particular what we're going to do is go and have a look for an anchor that was reported recently just off from the wreck, which might be part of the ship.
We've got conflicting reports of what actually happened. Some say it foundered on the way to Porthallow, some say it anchored up overnight. And if we can find this anchor and possibly prove that it links to the Volnay, it will prove that part of the story.
The Volnay is an interesting wreck because part of its cargo was ammunition, and you can still find some of that ammunition down on the wreck today. These are things that we found in the past. So that is an 18-pounder shrapnel shell, which I've remade. When people find these, they're not necessarily safe. You do have to get them deactivated. On the top here, this is the nose fuse. These are really interesting because they've actually got the date on, 1917. And then when you remove these caps, this middle ring here would have rotated, and then that's the number of seconds at which the shell would have been airborne before the whole thing would have ejected its lead shrapnel balls into the air. And these were actually used in the First World War in the trenches. The idea being that you actually explode this shell in the air above the trench and it showers the enemy in lead shot. So they're a really nasty weapon. And then every now and then, because the Volnay actually hit a mine when it sank, you find exploded ones. So these cases were very near the impact of the mine when it went off, which probably made the wreck sink a little bit quicker than it probably normally would have done. It's a dangerous cargo to be carrying ammunition.
Volnay is about 20 metres deep, which isn't very deep, but with the visibility it seems a lot deeper than it is. As you go down, it gets greener and then almost black, and then out of the gloom this boiler appears, and it's all rusted and festooned with marine life. When you shine a light on this, it makes it seem that much more otherworldly. It's a slightly frightening place.
A wreck site like the Volnay can be quite dangerous. It's quite dark, it's quite silty, and there's an awful lot of razor-sharp metal. So you've got to be very careful where you put your hands and feet.
It's very good news, isn't it? Because we found the anchor that we were looking for, which is very lucky because I couldn't see anything down there. We're just rounding a corner and there it was sitting there, and it's definitely of the right kind of age, about 100 years old. It's pointing in the right direction. Perhaps it was using the anchor to hold position against the wind. It's always been a bit of a mystery why the ship is in the middle of this bay rather than up against the shore.
Not the greatest of visibility. It's kind of like wandering around a scrapyard at night in the fog.
It's just great to find something that no one's seen before. Probably just because of its location. It's just a bit off of the wreck, hidden on the side of a rock.
We've brought up a handful of the lead shot which are in the anti-personnel rounds. So in those metal containers in the middle of the shell, these are the actual balls that would get ejected when the timer head goes off. And this is what was intended to be sprayed all over the ground to try and kill as many enemy troops as possible.
So people always used to wonder about the British Army helmet, the tin hat, the Brodie helmet with its wide brim, thinking that it's a really silly design. The reason for it was that it was protection precisely against these shrapnel shells exploding above. Actually, the wide brim probably saved many lives.
There's an awful lot still down there, but yeah, it's just a bit of history, really.
What I'm really thinking now is, wouldn't it be great to get in again? Where's the next wreck? Can we stop somewhere on the way back? It's endless fueling of excitement every time you see one of these sites, and then solve another mystery and find something new, and it's an addiction, really.